Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Our major stories tonight: Bamenda is reeling from a violent incident in Mile 6 Mankon, where 3 people were killed and their bodies abandoned at a refuge site in Chobo. The tragedy follows gunshots fired in the area, exacerbating the city's ongoing struggles with insecurity. Away from that, Cameroon's Ministry of Territorial Administration has started releasing state campaign funds to 12 presidential candidates vying for the October 12 election. 10 parties collected their allocations on the first day, with Univer Party and the Social Democratic Front SDF Party being among the first to receive funding. Concerns have been raised over the timing of campaign fund disbursement, which occurred 2 days after the campaigns began. Tonight, we'll be looking at what the law says in connection to when money is expected to be disbursed to candidates. Those are top stories tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. If you're just joining us, then know you're watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Bamenda is grappling with a surge in violence as a recent incident in Mile 6 Mankon has left 3 people dead, with their bodies dumped at a refuge site in Chobo. Locals say gunshots were heard throughout the night. Our details with our Northwest Chief Correspondent, Bo Stella.
Residents of Chobo, Mile 6 and Mile 7 in Bamenda 2 subdivision spent the night in fear as heavy gunfire echoed through their neighborhoods on the evening of September 29. By dawn, the tragedy was visible. 3 lifeless bodies riddled with bullets were discovered at a garbage dump site. One was quickly identified and taken away. The other 2 were later deposited at the Bamenda Regional Hospital mortuary. Local residents, still in shock, say this is yet another reminder of how lives continue to be lost in a conflict with no end in sight. Many confess they no longer feel safe in their own homes. For nearly a decade, Cameroon's Anglophone crisis has claimed thousands of lives and displaced families. Human rights advocates and peace observers stress that the solution cannot be found in violence. They point instead to the urgent need for dialogue, confidence-building measures, and genuine efforts to resolve the grievances that fuel the conflict.
And the same vein, residents of Bamenda are shrouded in grief after the discovery of the corpse of 25-year-old Agingi Helmet. His body was discovered on Tuesday morning in Mulang Street 4, days after he went missing following a drowning incident at the City Chemist roundabout on Monday. Once more, Chief Correspondent Bustela has the details.
The swampy stretch in Mulang Street 4 carries the weight of grief. It is here that the lifeless body of Agingi Hamlet was pulled from under the mud this Tuesday after he was swept away in front of helpless onlookers at City Chemist roundabout on Monday evening. For his family and neighbors, the weight has been tormenting. What began as a faint hope for survival has now turned into deep sorrow. The Army Rescue Unit and local volunteers called drainage canals, bushes and waterways for hours, desperate to bring Hamlet home. Their efforts ended here in the silence of this Mulang swamp.
We had 2 teams to search the young man. After we've been searching for more than 30-35 minutes, we received a phone call that the population saw the corpse at about 15 kilometers away from where he fell yesterday.
The Army Rescue Unit says Hamlet's death should serve as a warning. Its commander is urging residents to remain indoors and stay away from waterways whenever it rains.
We were not the only ones searching for this child. They were also searching, and they found the corpse, and they had to call on us to come help them carry the corpse and bring it out. We give great thanks to them. It shows that they are engaged whenever there's a situation. And I want to talk to the population of Bamenda. Whenever it rains, people should stay in their various houses.
Harmless death is more than a statistic. It is also a haunting reminder that Bamenda's flooding problem is not just about infrastructure, it is about lives cut too short.
From the northwest region, we now move to the southwest region, precisely in Boya, which is now in its 4th week under lockdown imposed by separatist fighters. Many shops are still closed. A few taxi drivers continue to work, but they do so carefully. Many parents are still keeping their children at home away from school. The situation is also said to have scared many from collecting their voters' cards, as piles still lie in the Lekam office in Boya. Even though the local authorities have tried to help the situation, it's still very difficult as most people are choosing to stay safe inside their homes. Rex Afon reports from Boya.
Boya, on week 4 of the separatist-imposed lockdown.
On a normal day, this My 17 motor park will be bustling with people that are traveling in and out of Boya. But for the past close to 3 weeks now, it has been like this. Very few vehicles are moving into the town and out of the town.
Inhabitants of the town describe the situation as tense.
The situation is very tense because you move around, you see that everywhere is locked. The normal bustle and hustle is not there. And the environment is looking tense.
Some parents still risk going out, driven by the need to feed their children.
Sometimes there are emergencies and difficult conditions. Children have to eat, they have to do other things for the family, and people have to do a lot of things.
Few taxi drivers continue to work, each taking extra security precautions.
I don't start work very early in the morning. I make sure I first of all verify through social media platforms the situation at hand. I usually start work maybe by 10:30, 11 o'clock. I even call colleagues, ask them, those in Muya, my 16, and even Upper Bokwango before stepping out. I don't put on music in order to be able to pick up sound. I don't carry people that have backs, people that are poorly dressed or looking bushy and looking like suspect.
The tense atmosphere seems to have forced many registered voters to abandon their voters' card at the Lekam office here in Boya. But a few brave ones who dream of change have been coming to retrieve theirs.
We are tired of the old system. We just need a change, so we'll try another person. Everything is too much. Unemployment everywhere, here and there, and we just need a change.
Because I want to be part of the change in this year's election. The situation of the country is really bad. Yes, we cannot continue to live like this. Yes, we are living like slaves in our own country.
The administration in Boya has taken several measures to rescue the situation, but some shops still remain closed and movement relatively timid. The atmosphere in Boya, which remains uncertain, has prompted many parents to keep their kids away from school for the 4th week running.
We stay in the southwest region where new recruits have joined the Lead Rapid Intervention Battalion B at the Cameroon Military Training Center in Limbe, undergoing a rigorous selection process. According to Davison Maimo, the entry process was thoroughly scrutinized, ensuring only the most qualified candidates are selected. His report.
The Cameroon Elite Force, known by its French acronym the B, has welcomed approximately 1,800 new recruits who successfully passed the August 2nd physical test, following thorough medical examinations and document verification. This ensured their suitability for the rigorous training that lies ahead.
I am happy to be selected among the difficult bid process. I am happy to be selected and to serve my country as an army.
For 4 months, these young, patriotic and brave Cameroonians will undergo an intensive training program designed to equip them with the necessary skills to adapt to various weather conditions and situations, ultimately molding them into elite commandos.
When they will end their training, they will help us to face the different threats that we have in the country. I want to name the far north, I want to name the northwest and the southwest. I will not forget the east of our region. Those people will help us to face those threats.
To guarantee transparency, fairness and merit in the recruitment process, the September 27 entry of the new recruit at the B base at Manoa Bay in Limbe and Salak in Maroa included thorough computerized checks by B instructors and verification of authentic documents by military security elements, SEMIL, and the Ministry of Defense.
They will be doing the medical checkup again to be sure that they are still in health to start the training, because maybe between the end of the selection and today some people may have some cases.
With this influx of new recruits, the B's capability has strengthened, enhancing national security and stability.
Davison Maimo reporting from Limbe. And away from that, Banga's Divisional Officer Tembo Kefo recently convened a meeting with local bike riders to discuss key aspects of the upcoming presidential election. The meeting aimed to ensure peaceful electoral process with focus on responsible behavior from both bike riders, especially in areas near the crisis-affected Southwest region. Ase Lucilengu has more.
Less than 2 weeks until the presidential election, the divisional officer of Banga in the Mongo division unites bike riders for a sensitization meeting focused on safety and vigilance, especially in his area of command, with some localities being close to the Southwest region plagued by the socio-political crisis.
Déjà, comme nous avons les localités voisines avec la région du Sud-Ouest.
Since we are close to Kumba, Bonge and Moyuka in the Southwest region, bike riders should be aware that from the 11th, no one is permitted to cross the Mongo River to enter Banga. Gendarmes and the military will be on the ground to enforce this decision signed by the divisional officer.
Les militaires seront donc sur le terrain pour faire appliquer la décision que le sous-préfet va signer.
Christian Tembo Kenfor, while educating motorists on the various steps of the electoral period, urges bike riders to maintain a responsible attitude throughout this period and on the day of the votes. There will be no gatherings in front of polling stations on election day. Once you finish voting, go directly home. Bike riders walking in Banga must remain in Banga, while those in their villages should stay there. This campaign also aims to promote unity, social cohesion, and peace for a hitch-free election free of incidents. With the presidential campaign set to end on October 10th, efforts are underway to strengthen administrative and security works. The residents of Banga are called upon to embrace their civic duties wholeheartedly.
And now we talk politics, looking at how the race to A2D is faring. Security forces this afternoon blocked the hotel where Beluba Maigari and his delegation were being awaited by commercial motorbike riders. The venue that was retained for the campaign, situated around the divisional office of Eboloa 1, was also blocked by local authorities. As a result of the blockage, the campaign of Beluba Maigari was pushed to a village that's situated some 2 kilometers from the central town of Eboloa along the Eboloa Akomtu Kribi Road. But before leaving for the new venue, the president of the National Union for Democracy Party, Beluba Maigari, expressed disappointment at the treatment he and his delegation received. Even while at that new venue, he was also prevented from holding his campaign at a new site assigned to him reportedly by security forces. And away from that, we'll tell you how the militants of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM party in Mezam 1 and Mezam 2 have pledged their unending support to incumbent President Paul Biya during the subdivisional launch of the CPDM campaigns. The militants say the achievements of President Paul Biya are enough to give him another mandate. Smajikan Gabriel tells us more.
As the race for A2D intensifies, the absence of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) party's candidate, incumbent Paul Biya, on ground has been accepted as a strategy by members of his party. as they say the president is not obliged to be with comrades since they are present. The phrase, which has been repeated by militants of the party in the entire nation, illustrates a strategy put up by the ruling political party as they occupy the entire nation without their candidate. But in its place, portraits of Paul Biya have been posted in the entire nation. The image of the outgoing president flies like a symbol in all the campaign grounds. The Prime Minister is now seen as the walking stick of the president as he visited several regions in the country on behalf of the president. Replying to militants about the age and health conditions of the president during the Southwest Regional launch in Boya, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute was clear that all movements he has made in recent time is for the president. Less than 2 weeks to the presidential elections, 11 candidates are on the field trying to woo voters, with some already joining forces. But with CPDM, it is the image of the president that is used in his absence.
Still in politics, CPDM militants and supporters of the Douala Zone 3 Special Commission reaffirmed their support for President Paul Biya at a rally held in Brazzaville neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision. The gathering also served as an opportunity to introduce allies. Sericha Kutio reports.
On the third day of presidential campaign, the president of the Special Commission for Douala Zone 3 Commission welcomed thousands of sympathizers and supporters of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement coming from across the Douala 3 subdivision. CPDM supporters expressed their commitment to the party and its candidate Paul Biya with the goal of ensuring the re-election of the candidate and national president of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party.
Our message is to ask our militants to beware. That means that they have to go to the vote on the 12th of October and then sure that everybody around our militant have done his job. That means have gone there and then voted. It's what we are expecting and what we are asking them, because they know that if it's the number, we have the success. Another thing is that they have to know that the age of somebody has to be considered like something, a strength of that man.
Despite the socio-economic challenges in the Douala 3 subdivision, political personalities and allies of the party came out in large number to reaffirm their determination to build a united, strong and prosperous Cameroon alongside the CPDM and its candidate.
En parcourant la profession de foi du candidat président Paul Biya.
While reviewing the confession of faith of presidential candidate Paul Biya, we stopped on the 8th point. I opt for a more united, more respectful and more prosperous Cameroon. It is legitimate and normal for us at the UPC to support him during this campaign.
Cameroun dans ces lieux accompagne.
The Douala 3 subdivision can no longer, never again, experience the faith of 2018. We have returned to certain areas to correct this. Youth, women, traditional authorities and associations have pledged to intensify the party's campaign while remaining mobilized behind the CPDM party.
Il n'en a même plus besoin aujourd'hui d'être encore sur le terrain. Nous allons être sur le terrain pour lui. Et nous en sommes capables.
In an atmosphere of unity and determination, the launch of the CPDM campaign in the Douala 3 subdivision demonstrates, according to observers, that hope and unity remains the key words of their national president, Paul Biya.
And still on campaigns, we now move to the Northwest region, precisely in Bali, where supporters of President Paul Biya rallied on Sunday to show their loyalty, praising decades of development projects in the area. Campaign leaders urged the local population to vote their candidate, brandishing individual appointments as a proof of Biya's commitment to the people. Details with our Northwest Chief Correspondent, Mbo Stella.
In the town of Bali, chants of support for President Paul Biya echoed as the ruling party's campaign team urged residents to stand firmly with the head of state and presidential candidate for the CPDM.
We are encouraging all the parents who love their children to come out on the 12th and vote for President Paul Biya. That is the only way. It's somebody of experience. We have a touch of what he can do to us. He has been doing it. The whole of Bali Nyonga is that. I am not even sure that out of the 360 councils, 360 subdivisions, there's There are two that are favored as we are today. President Paul Biya loves us. He has appointed our Royal Majesty to the Central Committee of the CPDM. He has appointed sons and daughters of Balinyonga into government. He has done a lot for us, and this is the only time we can say, Papa, we thank you.
The campaign leader also dismissed opposition candidates as mere adventurers, insisting they have no plan for the country.
I know there are dancers who have just appeared from nowhere and are claiming they're going to win presidential elections. Presidential election will need somebody of experience. President Paul Biya has that experience.
The event that witnessed heavy security deployment and attended by administrative authorities of Bali was also an opportunity for local farmers who received farm inputs from the campaign team. With the election just weeks away, the ruling party is counting on Bali's loyalty to deliver results at the ballot box.
Stella ending this first part of the news talking point comes up next. My guest on Talking Point tonight is a legal mind. He's known as Barrister FONKA TAMNYUY, MOFOLA. He is equally an election expert. Good evening, Barrister. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Thanks for having me, Margaret. It's a pleasure, and good evening to Diego viewers.
Barrister, campaigns ahead of the October 12 presidential election began last Saturday. However, funds were released to candidates just 2 days after the campaign launch. Is this timing normal according to the Electoral Code?
Thank you for that question, Margaret. The Electoral Code is very succinct as that is concerned. The code says the first part of the first installment shall be paid after the name of the candidate is retained. That's in case of a presidential elections. Therefore, it does not specify the particular day or time within which it shall be made at the disposal of the candidate. Again, the finance law makes provision for sponsoring of political candidates, which therefore suggests that the state sponsors political candidates political parties every year. What the state provides during this particular period in time is just a mere subsidy. It's just like the political party or candidate was dependent absolutely on such a subsidy.
Now, what about candidates who withdrew their candidacy, like the case of Barrister Keremuna of the Univer Party and Seta Caxton, who was a candidate of Power? Do they still have the right to obtain election funds despite campaigning now for the NUTP party owned by Bello Buba Maigari?
Is found in section 287 sub 8 of the Electoral Code. That section says, with their permission, I will read so that the sub 2, so that the televiewers will not presume that is my position. Any political party that withdraws before the polls or that does not participate effectively in the electoral campaign shall be required to refund the totality of the amount received in respect of the first part referred to in subsections above. So according to this section, they are supposed to refund the money they have received before now.
According to the law, candidates who don't participate effectively in the campaign must return the funds. Now, let's take a look at the case of Barrister Keremuna, who endorsed another candidate. He's actively campaigning for the UNDP party in the South region in Bolowa, and precisely in Ebolo, as I rightly said. Does this constitute effective participation?
Well, we are talking about the law as it is, not what it ought to be. So the law as it is now is to the effect that that money is supposed to be funded. That's the position of the law. As I've just read, the televiewers can take the pain or the liberty to read the same law that I've just cited here.
How do campaign finance laws in Cameroon regulate donations, expenditures, and let's say funding sources for candidates and parties?
What should be taken note of is the fact that parties get their finances from two or three sources. The first one is subsidies from the state, which we are just looking into. Another is private member contributions, and then gifts from members, like maybe some members can give a building for a particular party and so on and so forth. But now the law forbids the receipt of fundings from foreign donors or foreign persons or countries. And as to what concerns the state funding, it falls within the context of public funds, as the name entails, which therefore means that if any party or candidate were to misappropriate the fund provided for campaigns, for instance, and is proof thereto, is liable to any criminal investigation. There is also the ministry in charge of superintendent control that also has the duty to pop into and investigate if actually such funds were judiciously used according to the law. So that's how we see the state controlling the management of those finances provided by it, that is money from taxpayers.
What are the key challenges facing opposition parties in Cameroon's electoral process, and how can they be addressed?
The challenges, the first challenge that I see most political parties, if not all, suffer in Cameroon is the fact that they prepare their elections only on the eve of the elections. Why do I say so? A serious political party usually starts its preparation from the moment of the declaration of another elections. Furthermore, most of those political parties, they do not have the necessary funds. I want to demonstrate here a case of the Senior Party, which I know to an extent. They, from the very moment an election is passed, they start preparing for the next elections. How do these people prepare? They make sure that even right as far as the grassroots are concerned, they are all present. The difficulty political parties now have, for instance, is being able to have their representatives even at the remotest part of this country in every polling station to protect their interests or maybe to oversee their interests. That's a major challenge we have. The second challenge too, or another challenge, should be the issue of not being able to be consistent with their manifesto vis-à-vis their campaign promises. Today, we see most opposition parties purportedly forming coalitions, earmarking coalitions or alliances, whereas when you go to their manifestos or maybe their constitutions, the political system that they adopt are not the same. Those are that's another challenge. Furthermore, you could have another challenge to be the issue of most political parties are selfish. They think only about themselves. That's a major challenge that they also have to work into if they have to.
Barrister, you claim opposition parties prepare for elections on the eve of elections. Tell me, how can opposition parties in Cameroon effectively prepare for elections when they face frequent obstacles in holding meetings, despite constitutional guarantees of freedom of assembly and organization under Article 26, and also potentially related provisions? We have seen this case of the CRM party, for example, repeatedly being prevented from holding meetings. And also, we just saw in what I just talked about, Issa Chuma Bakari, rather Beluba Magari, who was prevented from holding a meeting over there in the South region by security elements. Is this not a strategy by the government of Cameroon to weaken the opposition at all costs?
The question is very pertinent, and it's incumbent on me to let the televiewers understand the following. The administrator has plays a role even before, during, and after the election process. The electoral code is exhaustive on that. And the 1990 law organizing political parties has also exhausted the powers of the administrative authorities as far as concerned. The difference between political parties rallying during campaign period and before campaign period is what we are seeking to demonstrate here. During campaign periods, the political parties only are required to furnish to the competent administrative authority their schedule of activities. For one reason only, for the said administrative authority to ensure that they are being protected by the force of law and order. That means they are being accompanied. An exception to that rule should be where such a political party does not provide their schedule during the campaign period to a competent administrative authority ahead of time. That same party is bound to do that by means of declaration. And the administrative authority now will consider that and then make sure they are protected by the force of law and order. The other situation now, on the other hand, is that touching on campaigns or rallies before official campaigns are declared. They are subject to declaration or maybe say receipts from the competent administrative authorities, as you always know, failing which they cannot just go on their own campaigning. I don't know if my answer has actually taken care of your worry.
Now, with the case of Cameroon, it seems as if authorization given to political parties to hold their meeting is selective, because we hardly hear such happening with the ruling CPDM party. What do you have to say about this?
And anyone said, if you are listening to me well, and they all said there are conditions significant to be fulfilled by political parties to rally when out of campaign periods. The case you have cited, if I got you well, is a case before official campaigns are launched. And every case is an isolated case. You and me are not privy to the facts on the ground. However, if they have fulfilled all the necessary conditions that are provided for by law, and there's an interruption, maybe or maybe not, it's arguable that the administrative authority was wrong or was not right to interfere in their rally. But again, I'll take you back to sections 86, right down to section 94 of the Electoral Code, which regulates regular campaign periods, the powers of the electorate, the rights and duties of political parties or candidates, and those of administrative authorities. Those sections, or in one of those sections, you get to understand that even when the political party or a candidate has made known his schedule during a regular campaign period to administrative authority, the said administrative authority, in the course of the campaigns, realizes that one, some of the activities carried by the candidate or the political party, one, they serve as a threat to Republican values or public order. Said administrative authority has the legal right to interfere. But now what happens thereafter in the interference? He will have to agree again with such a candidate or political party for another date for them to do the said rally in that particular venue within certain conditions.
Observers noticed a significant disparity in media coverage on national TV yesterday, with the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM party featuring about 20 reports on the election campaign, while other opposition parties had only about one or let's say 2 reports each. This comes after Joseph Chebonkeng, head of the National Communication Council, urged the media to be fair and also to maintain fairness and equity in their coverage. How can this imbalance be addressed to ensure fair media representation for all parties during the election campaign?
I like you cited on quoting the president of the Communication Council. You talk about it. I think it doesn't help to do that. If you estimate that your rights have been violated, you would want to take the measures to enforce them. If the National Communication Council boss has clearly made that known for political parties then it is incumbent on them. You will not wait for maybe the Director General or maybe say the State Corporation of CRT or maybe the President of the National Constitutional Council to come and remove you from your party house to come and effectuate your right. That's one thing. Information is power. Some political parties, maybe they are not informed of that even. Or even they are, they don't want to go about it. I think everything has a procedure. If they don't hear, perhaps, with maybe the CRT, that's the National Broadcasting House, then the blame should not be on them. But again, on the other hand, if they are liaised with the corporation and they are not doing the biddings of the Director General of the CRTV or maybe of the National Communication Council boss, then that's another issue. But so far, so good, I'm not privy to such an information.
Thank you so much, Barrister, for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure being a guest on the Talking Point for the first time. And I pray that maybe subsequently will still be available for Equinoxe if they do find it necessary. And we wish all the political parties or maybe candidates and their militants good luck. And that they should also bear in mind that campaigns are not moments for you to violate the law. It should be void of hate speech, void of insult, it should be void of tribalism, and it should be void of any violence. Because after elections, the courts have been flooded with legal actions. Thank you very much.
Barrister FONKA TAMNYUY MOFOLA, an election expert. Thank you so much for your time. That's what put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. Coming up next is the Race to A2D with Serge Alain Otu and his guest. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.